I'm going to talk about accelerating legal hackers. So what I'm going to do is raise a bunch of questions for you, have 0 answers, and then hopefully we'll have time to discuss some possible solutions to these questions. Just if I've talked to most of you already, but if I haven't talked to you already, I'm one of the co-founders of Legal Hackers. I'm also, in my day job, I'm a partner at a law firm that incubates startups and small businesses. So I speak with just a tiny bit of authority on how to manage community and increase growth in communities in a number of ways. So I wanted to first talk about what accelerating legal hackers means. I think as a community, we have a choice of whether that acceleration just means growth in members. We've been steadily doubling in members each year. So do we need to quadruple? Do we need to, octuple? Yeah, octuple each year. Is that the goal? Or are we trying to grow specific initiatives in our communities, or are we trying to increase the number of chapters? There are a number of different ways to go about it. I'll pose that there are basically 4 vectors that we need to think about after we answer that question of what we're accelerating exactly, whether that's membership or actual output from this community. And those vectors, I would, and I'm not coining any of these, I'm just sort of off the top of the head here. The first is, how are we going to incentivize that acceleration? Is there a form of equity that we're giving out? Is there some sort of interest in the management of particular initiatives in chapters that we're sort of distributing? Are people going to start getting paid out of the organization, which we haven't done to date? These are all open questions. We've been completely volunteer from day one, just in case you didn't know that. The second would be culture. We've generally identified with an open source community, but there are possible pros and cons to closing off source. The firm that I work for represented MakerBot through their first couple of rounds of funding. MakerBot started as an open source community and then closed off some source in order to make money. And they got blowback, but they ended up being able to grow as a result of that and end up getting acquired. So that's an open question as well. That's a cultural question. Capital, how are we raising money? Do we need to go down the nonprofit route to attain grants and distribute them? Do we need to become a corporation so that we can raise money from VCs, angels, et cetera? Or do we just want to rely on the contributions of our members? These are all possible ways to, or as we've done to date, sponsorship has been our main source of capital today. And finally, infrastructure. This is something we really need to work on. I think, as Jonathan pointed out, our website is due for a serious update. The Slack channel that Mark put together last year at the summit has been tremendously helpful in the infrastructure of our communications between chapters and between organizers. It's been an amazing resource. It would be great to integrate some more of that functionality into our website that's public-facing, and also be able to more easily distribute resources from that website or some central repository that is cloud-based. There are a few different models we can take to solve these problems, and it depends on how we want to solve these goals and what sort of goals we want to set for ourselves. We could conceivably set up a fund that invests in projects that we like. That is a possible way of doing it. We could set up a cooperative model where members and chapters contribute and get something in return for their contributions. We could go down the route of being a nonprofit. Again, this could involve receiving and granting grants throughout the organization. Or it could be something we haven't even come up with yet. It could be some ICO that we do and create our own cryptocurrency that is distributed. Obviously, this is the route we'd all prefer, I think. We'd like to try something completely new, right? But no, these are questions that I think I'm just posing them so that we can start the discussion, if not today, by our Slack channel and into next year. And hopefully in 1 year, we will have at least a better understanding of the answers to those questions. So at this point, I'm going to hand it off to Dan Lear to wrap it up for the day. Is that right? All right. And then open discussion will commence. Dan.